Thank you for choosing to volunteer your time at one of our upcoming Take Steps for Crohn's and Colitis walks. In 2017, the Take Steps Walk program will bring together more than 50,000 participants from across the country with the goal of raising over $11 million towards the Foundation's ultimate mission: to find cures for Crohn's disease and ulcerative colitis, and to improve the quality of life of children and adults suffering from these diseases. Because of volunteers like you, the Foundation is able to ensure that over 80 cents out of every dollar raised goes directly back to fund our mission. That is compared to the national benchmark of 65 cents out of every dollar. As an accounting volunteer, the Foundation relies on you to help us quickly, accurately, and appropriately account the funds that were handed in on Walk Day. There is a simple 10-step process to follow when processing each envelope. To begin, open each envelope one at a time. Even if you believe it to be empty, do not throw it away. This is a sample of a participant envelope. Open each envelope and first separate out the cash, checks, and credit card forms. Once you've opened the envelope, begin by counting the cash and coins. Write the total amount at the bottom of the envelope and place the cash and coins aside. Next, itemize each check and write the check number and check amount on the envelope. Write the total amount of all checks at the bottom of the envelope in the space provided. Make a pile of those checks and set them aside. This is an example of a localized variation. Some sites will have square ups, which will provide live credit card donations to be made. Other sites will have paper credit card forms that will be placed inside the envelope. Be sure if you open an envelope with a credit card form that you simply write the total amount to be charged on the credit card at the bottom of the envelope and then put the credit card forms aside. Once you have counted all of the tender that is included in this envelope, add together the total amount of checks, cash, coins, and credit cards at the bottom of the envelope. Circle this total and initial. Verify your total amount is the same as the total amount written by the participant on the front of the envelope. As a note, if your amount is different than the amount stated by the participant, have another one of the accounting volunteers recount everything. That volunteer must verify the new amount and initial the envelope as well. The next step is to copy all of the checks, front and back. If you are using a copier, be sure to staple the copies to or put inside the corresponding envelopes. You will then place all cash coins in the cash bin, all of the checks in the check bin or pile, and the credit card forms in a credit card bin. It is now that you can continue to the next envelope. Once you have completely gone through every last envelope, it is important to staple or paperclip the credit card forms together and attach it to this Walk Day deposit form. You are now able to enter the final phase of the accounting process. We can begin the deposit preparation with all of the cash and checks collected today. Only cash, coins, and checks will be deposited during the bank drop. To begin, the first volunteer will take the pile or bin of cash and coins and separate the currency by denomination. For example, $20 bills, $5 bills, quarters, all like tenders will be grouped together. Count each denomination using the adding machine, being sure that it is recorded on the tape. You will then write the total amount for each denomination on the deposit form and initial next to each total. The second volunteer will then verify the work that volunteer number 1 just did. They will count each denomination again and initial next to each of the totals on the deposit form. Follow these 2 steps for the pile of checks as well. Be sure to remember to endorse the back of each check with the provided stamp from the Crohn's and Colitis Foundation. Once all of the checks, cash, and coins have been counted and confirmed by 2 volunteers, you can now begin to process the bank bag. Put all cash and coins inside the designated compartment of the bag. Write the total amount of cash on the deposit slip from the bank. You do not need to break this out by denomination. The same goes for coins, written on the deposit slip, not broken out by denomination. You will need to write each check number and amount of each check on the deposit slip from the bank book. This may require several slips from the bank book. Once the deposit slip is full, add up the total of cash, coins, and checks on that specific slip using the adding machine with the tape. This is required. And write the total amount being deposited on the bottom of each deposit slip. Each deposit slip has 2 copies, a top white copy for the bank and a bottom yellow copy for the foundation. Be sure to remove the top copy of the deposit slip and staple that and the adding machine tape and put it inside the bank bag along with the currency. That gets deposited into the bank. The yellow deposit slip copy and the remaining tape from the adding machine get stapled to the walk day deposit form. You have now completed the deposit preparation process and are ready to complete the accounting process itself. Make sure everything is attached to the walk day deposit form that is not being deposited in the bank, and deliver that and the deposit bag or bags to the staff lead. In addition to following the accounting process, it is important to take note of a few simple guidelines. First, all deposits must be dated the date of the walk. All of the checks that are being deposited must be copied before going into the bank bag. Multiple checks within the same envelope may be copied together on the same page. However, do not mix checks from separate envelopes. Be sure to attach the copies to the original envelope so that you do not lose track of which copies go with which envelope. And make sure that all copies are legible so that you are able to read the donor's information, check amount, and most importantly, the check number. If in the event your walk site does not have a copy machine available, it is important to use a staff person's phone to take photographs of the checks. A volunteer is never permitted to take copies with their cell phone. Follow the same check copying procedure and make sure to take a photo of the envelope which goes with the according check in order. The last 2 things to remember are to completely fill out the lower left-hand corner of the envelope, as well as remember that it is a felony to copy cash. You have now successfully completed the 2017 accounting process training. You will need to email your local walk manager the completion code 5960. He or she will then send you a digital copy of the step-by-step instructions that we reviewed today. Thank you again for your kind donation of time, and on behalf of the 1.6 million Americans suffering from Crohn's disease and ulcerative colitis, we appreciate you. Let's now review the step-by-step process. It is important to remember that there may be slight variations based on location of the accounting room and access to electricity. Please be sure at the end of this video to send in the completion code that will be provided to your local manager. He or she will then email you the localized plan for your review. You will then have a brief retraining on walk day before you begin the accounting procedure. So let's get started.